Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. An inmate has died following an altercation at Saskatchewan Penitentiary. Correctional Service Canada says the incident happened yesterday involving inmates from the maximum security unit at Saskatchewan Penitentiary. Horace Bear, an inmate involved, died while in custody. He was serving a sentence of just over 2 years and 9 months. 2 other inmates were injured and transported to an outside hospital for treatment. No staff members were injured. The maximum security unit was locked down and operations were modified to ensure the safety of staff and inmates, and for RCMP and Correctional Service Canada to conduct an investigation. The final person convicted in the killing of a Saskatoon woman has been sentenced. 48-year-old Roderick Sutherland has been sentenced to 7.5 years in prison, receiving 5 years for manslaughter and 2.5 years for offering an indignity to human remains. With credit for time spent under release conditions, he will spend about 5 years behind bars. Sutherland is one of 7 people convicted in the 2020 death of Megan Gallagher. During his trial, court heard she was tied to a chair, beaten and died after plastic was put over her face. Her body was found 2 years later near the village of St. Louis. Over the years, Gallagher's family has attended countless court hearings.
We don't have to go to court anymore. Our lives will change dramatically, I think.
Gallagher's family says they plan to start a foundation in her honor to advocate for victims. A memorandum of understanding was signed today in the hopes of continuing to innovate education in Saskatoon. Greater Saskatoon Catholic Schools and Wanuskewin Heritage Park renewed a partnership for another 4 years. This agreement allows for students to access a variety of land-based teachings offered at Wanuskewin through their schools,
where they can come out to the park, they can participate in programming, guided walks, might be art programs, it might be opportunities to learn from storytellers or knowledge keepers, elders, and all that can happen here at Wanuskewin.
Students from Saskatoon Catholic Schools were at the park for Earth Day activities today. A proposal has been sent to the City of Saskatoon to rezone the land home to the Old Star Phoenix building to make way for a major development. Kindrachuk Agray Architecture wants to see the land rezoned to accommodate a mixed-use development. The proposal includes a 35-story residential tower and a 24-story residential tower along with commercial space and 540 parking spaces. Plans call for the larger condo tower to be over 110 meters tall, which would be the tallest condo building in Saskatchewan. The rezoning proposal will still need to be cleared by the Municipal Planning Commission before going to City Council for final approval. A public meeting is scheduled for May 7th at City Hall. Well, Jeff, if you're 110 meters in the air, you're a little closer to the weather that Mother Nature's delivering today.
That's right. You're getting a bird's eye view, quite literally, of how things are shaping up. And it's shaping up. It's been a gray day, and the clouds are starting to move in. We've got a, well, we've talked about it yesterday, a robust Montana low, slow moving, getting stronger, strengthening as we make our way into the evening hours. And so on the leading edge of this situation, we've got ourselves lots of rain. That's certainly going to be impactful for parts of Manitoba. But for most of Saskatchewan, it's going to be a snow event, and some places, particularly in northern areas, could see up to 50 centimeters of snow. That's 20 inches of snow. We'll talk about that later on.
We are preparing for wildfire season after the worst on record last year. Now a new recruit boot camp is underway in British Columbia, making sure candidates are ready for the job. Andrew Johnson reports.
Guys, open that up. Yep, get that heat.
Call it Fighting Wildfires 101, and once you enroll, you need to be able to take the heat.
I've never worked so hard for anything in my life, and pushing myself both physically and mentally.
She's got the hands to prove it.
Calluses ripping open.
Keep the spray in. You're doing good. Good job.
At the BC Wildfire Service's new recruit boot camp, they're putting out fires, laying hose, digging fire breaks, and building trust by working together.
We have a lot of organized sports. Ex-athletes come in and current athletes come through, and it's the same kind of bond that you build on those teams.
A bond forged through exerting themselves to their breaking point.
Boot camp is about a lot more than fighting fires, including some of the less glamorous parts of the job, like carrying a lot of gear, more than 100 pounds, up a steep hill, over and over again.
The reporter was doubled over by the halfway mark.
I've had enough.
Everyone else has to push through.
Push!
And lean on each other.
Let's go, Matt. You got this.
To get one step closer to the front lines where, in a wildfire emergency, there isn't much downtime.
Sometimes that can be 24 hours a day, sometimes that's a 10-hour day, and up to a period of 14 days in a row.
A record 2,400 people applied for about 200 openings.
We did just about 600 interviews and brought it down to this group.
A group of young people, including Layla, who's following in her father's footsteps.
I've grown up listening to all his stories, and I wanted to get my feet in there and see it for myself.
And Max, who loves the outdoors and wants to protect his home province.
I'd love to make this my career. I want to come back every single summer and eventually full-time. That would be my dream.
We need water!
The dream and the season start now. This crew is expected to be fighting fires right up until the end of October. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Merritt, BC.
Regina and Fire and Protective Services has concluded its investigation into a carbon monoxide leak that led to the death of 11-year-old Henry Losco last December. According to RFPS, the fatal incident was caused by a delayed ignition and resulting explosion involving one of the boilers inside the apartment building Losco was living in with his family. The explosion damaged the system and emitted carbon monoxide into the building almost immediately.
So it would have happened relatively quickly, right? So when there was an explosion, it dislodged venting components, and the boiler was allowed then to emit products of combustion and carbon monoxide within the building.
Chief Lane Jackson says Regina Fire has been in ongoing contact with the Losco family and that RFPS is there to support any of the Losco's needs. Some big changes could be on the way for the RM of Corman Park. The rural municipality surrounding Saskatoon was recently given approval authority by the province. This means the RM can make its own subdivision development decisions at the local level without having to send them back to the province and wait months for an answer. It's the first RM in the province to get this designation and the first outside of the province's 10 largest cities. Coupled with yesterday's move to explore leaving a regional board, the RM is looking to grow at its own pace.
That review can take up to 90 days. So that actually is one of the, from a development perspective, time is money. And to be able to come back and say, that decision's made, we can get moving. And that is just huge for us.
The RM says it will now begin processing more than 40 development applications it has received. The acting RM of Sherwood-Reeve, Ray Orb, says the government-appointed interim council is hoping to bring stability to the municipality as it focuses on what's next for local residents.
The council is very, I think they're very pleased. They're more relaxed than they were before, and I think they can see, of course, that we're heading in the common direction. The people that were appointed, it was a steep learning curve, there's no doubt about that, but we're experienced councillors. Many of us were on council before or in administration, and so we knew the kind of the lay of the land. We knew there were some problems at the RM of Sherwood prior to this data center even being talked about, so we're fitting in that role as best we can.
Orb says he's optimistic about the realigned direction of council, and residents are optimistic about where the RM is going. The interim council was appointed after the Reeve and 3 councillors suddenly resigned in mid-March. They will hold the seats until a regular election is held in November. After the break, an exhibit featuring the experiences of refugees. Jasmine Pelche catches up with YWCA Settlement Services at the Gateway Mall.
We are with Carolyn from the YWCA Settlement Services at the Voices of Resilience exhibit here in the Gateway Mall. If you could, I guess, there's a lot of stuff happening right now, but could you kind of summarize what this exhibit includes? Like, what are all of the elements here?
This exhibit includes stories from clients who are refugees who have become and settled in Prince Albert, and their journey from the time they left their war-torn country till the time they arrived in Prince Albert. We have lots of poster boards that have those stories. We also have another wall that talks about myths versus facts about refugees. And then we have people who are able to walk through a simulated refugee camp. So inside that camp, we have a demonstration of how people have to go for water because there is no water that is readily available in the camps. They can't just like us turn on a tap. Sometimes they have to travel hours to be able to get water and then wait to get water and then have to carry it all the way back. We also have a simulation of a village site, so a tent where a large family would stay, and then a smaller tent for a smaller family. And then we're trying to tell people that this isn't just like a weekend adventure or a week adventure. For some people, it is years. For some people, it's their whole life. They live inside a tent. We show how people have to cook outside and how they have to grind the grains to make flour because flour isn't readily available. So they grind grains that they are given through rations, and then they are able to use that to make bread. We also have a simulated schoolhouse that shows a small little room, and then we tell the children and whoever's here how many people would be in that room and how it's multi-graded, how it's very crowded, how it's very primitive in that they don't have the access to some technology, so you're using chalkboards and those kind of things. So it gives people a real life experience. And then we have a marketplace set up, and then we also have a tent with that's from UNHCR that shows rations. So it displays how much a family would actually get for a family of 4 for a week or for an individual for a week. And then we also have a display of how much we would consume for an individual in a week, so people can make the comparison and realize that the life in the refugee camp is not easy.
It looks like you've got some drop-ins as well as some school tours. What is the purpose of building this here in PA? What are you hoping to educate the public about?
We're hoping to educate the public about it's easy to know the word refugee, but you don't really understand the people's journey who are labeled refugee. So we're hoping with the displays we will show people what the journey is really like. I have people who are manning the booths who have lived the experience so they can answer questions and they can talk about their real life and realize that people spend years and only a handful of people are able to come to Canada and they are chosen. Many live all of their lives in refugee camps. We have had one family who arrived who were 40 years he was in a refugee camp before he was one of the chosen ones to be able to resettle in Canada. And hopefully hearing these stories brings an understanding to what people's background have been, so people are more compassionate and understanding to those who have come. The people who come have courage and resilience to start over, and they want to be part of our community. They want to be accepted. They want to be able to bring their families up in Canada so that they can be successful here. And I'm hoping that this demonstrates some of that to the public.
This exhibit here is open yesterday, today, and tomorrow. If someone's maybe interested in popping by tomorrow, is there more information that they need to know, or where can they go to find more information?
They can just stop into the Gateway Mall. We're set up right by the food court, and anybody's welcome between the hours of 10 and 4 tomorrow. And we'd love to see you down here so you can learn more about the refugee experience and more about what we do here to help refugees resettle in Prince Albert.
All right, well, thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you.
Jeff has a look at weather when we return, plus the UK's push to stamp out smoking. Well, Jeff, not long before we'll be longing for the hours when it was just sprinkling rain because snow is on the way.
Yeah, exactly. I think people would say, hey, the rain's nice, it's just going to, wash away some of the dust that's out there. And that's not going to happen because we are getting the rain. There's a risk of freezing rain. And then on top of that, of course, we are dealing with serious amounts of snow in many parts of the province. Some places, Saskatoon might get 5 to 10 centimeters of snow. Prince Albert, though, 10 to 15 centimeters of snow. And that's just tomorrow. So we've got ourselves some significant snowfall. As I mentioned, this big Montana low, and it is slow moving. And the darndest thing about it is, unlike an Alberta clipper, this doesn't clip. This Montana low is making its way up into Alberta, Saskatchewan area there. And on the backhand side of it, in places like southern Manitoba, a lot of this is going to be rain in terms of the overall effect. But in northern Saskatchewan and central parts of our province, snow is going to be the big deal. And it doesn't really move that fast. In fact, it actually sort of just hangs around and recycles and maybe even recedes a little bit in terms of, or backslides in terms of its motion. So it is going to be with us and probably, or at least impactful, until Saturday. So yeah, get used to this one, folks. So here is that bullseye, and you can certainly see it cycling around. Oh, it goes into Manitoba, and it doesn't really move all that much, but you can see all the active weather expected on the backhand side of it. Look at that wingspan of all that purple. That is indicating, or at least our computer model is indicating, snow that basically goes from Montana and North Dakota all the way into northern Saskatchewan, even clipping even parts of Northwest Territories and Nunavut. But yuck. So expecting some rain overnight in Spiritwood, -2. Expecting rain throughout the region, quite frankly. -1 in the Battlefords, -2 in Candle Lake, -2 as well in Birch Hills, -2 in Rostern and Nipawin and Melfort. And of course, once it's on the minus side, yes, there is that risk of freezing rain. So please be careful. Check the highway hotline if you have to venture out tonight. Then we get into the snow. It may not be as significant in the Battlefords and Spiritwood. As you can see, the icons indicating not as impactful. But once you get into Candle Lake, Birch Hills, Rostern, and those areas, these areas could see 10 to 15 centimeters of snow tomorrow. And it's not a one-day snow event. And then Nipawin and Melfort, we're dealing with rain changing to snow or vice versa, depending on the timing of the situation. So -1 for Spiritwood tomorrow, 1 in the Battlefords, -1 in Candle Lake and Birch Hills, 0 in Rostern and Nipawin, and -1 in Melfort. So yes, those temperatures certainly bear out the fact that we have got ourselves a messy situation and an abnormally cold situation. -2 for Prince Albert and area tonight with rain, windy conditions again at -2. There's a risk of freezing rain. And then tomorrow, we're going to be dealing with snow. 15 centimeters of snow and winds out of the northeast, 30 gusting to 50. So there could be some visibility issues, so please be aware of that as well. And the 7-day outlook, as you can see, staying on the cold side of seasonal right through to next Wednesday. But the biggest concern is the snow on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And then we're just into cloudy and mainly cloudy conditions, but on the cold side of seasonal Sunday through Thursday.
And Jeff, maybe what's going to make things easier is I'm going to stop assuming that it's the last of the year, the last.
There you go. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Maybe then
we're done with the snow.
Then I won't be so surprised.
Fair enough.
One thing that'll brighten up our day, Jeff, is another edition of Classic Sports.
The year was 1993, and you're looking at rare footage of the Flin Flon Bombers hoisting the SJHL Championship trophy. Back then, you could smoke just about anywhere, and the Bombers wore those old tackle jerseys with the 3D-style numbers on the back. Remember those? Anyways, it was Flin Flon against Melville in Game 7 for the SJHL title. Melville scored first to make it 1-0, but in the second period, Travis Shane would create a turnover and carry the puck back the other way to get the game-tying goal. From there on, it was a seesaw battle, with Flin Flon regaining the lead and Melville then answering back. But in the third period, the Bombers would ice the game with an empty netter to seal it. The Flin Flon Bombers were SJHL champions over 30 years ago. And if you want to check out more classic sports moments from the days of Wilco and Wood Finish televisions, you can check them out on our website.
Do you have a community event you would like to promote? Or maybe you'd like to draw attention to your organization. Let your local CTV station help you spread the word. Contact us at 306-922-6020 or email panews@ctv.ca. You can appear on CTV Prince Albert's News at 5 and get your message to our viewers.
A new blood test developed at the University of Saskatchewan could change how Parkinson's disease is diagnosed, potentially identifying aggressive cases in minutes. The test uses fluorescent probes to measure an enzyme linked to Parkinson's using a simple blood sample instead of brain scans. Parkinson's is a neurodegenerative disease that damages dopamine-producing cells, leading to tremors, stiffness, and sometimes cognitive decline. But testing the brain directly is difficult, so researchers at the U of S turned to the blood.
We're translating our methods to humans for the first time ever, which is very exciting because, you know, we invented this test. We invented the molecules, made in Saskatchewan for Saskatchewan Parkinson's patients. So everything was made from scratch.
Researchers say that could mean faster treatment and better outcomes. Human trials could start as early as this summer, pending necessary approval. Lawmakers in the United Kingdom have passed new legislation banning anyone 17 or younger from purchasing cigarettes.
It is a landmark bill, my lords. It will create a smoke-free generation. It is, in fact, the biggest public health intervention in a generation, and I can assure all noble lords it will save lives.
The tobacco and vaping bill will prevent anyone born after January 1st, 2009 from buying cigarettes. Once it receives royal assent, the legislation would also give the British government powers to ban smoking in outdoor spaces like playgrounds or outside schools or hospitals. The new law is part of a series of measures aimed at combating the health impacts of smoking, which is one of the leading causes of preventable death in the UK.
Brought to you by Saskatchewan Union of Nurses. Thank you to Saskatchewan's 11,000 registered nurses.
Another reason to look up, even though the space shuttle has landed back on Earth, Jeff, the Lyrid meteor shower is about to peak with better views than normal. NASA says skywatchers could see 10 to 20 shooting stars per hour during its peak. Now, the peak was overnight last night into Wednesday morning, but hey, there's probably going to be a few more there. The shower will be visible across the globe, but the views are best in the northern hemisphere. That's us. Meteor showers happen when the Earth plows through debris left by space rocks. And Jeff, I think we're probably not going to see it if we look up tonight. But,
no,
a little too
good luck.
Cloudy, a little too
You're going to see raindrops or snow.
Something. Either way, just smile. Whatever's coming down, just smile.
There you go.